spiritual elevation and degradation. Have you ever thought about how our social interactions affect adolescent anxiety?
I have. It's fascinating how we distinguish between those we feel close to and those who are more distant.
Exactly. That horizontal dimension of relationships can impact how young people feel about themselves.
And then there's the vertical dimension, right? The social status that influences deference and respect?
Yes. It's crucial because it shapes how adolescents perceive their own worth and place in society.
I read that many cultures have this divinity axis too, where virtuous actions bring people closer to God.
Right. Thomas Jefferson pointed out that moral elevation makes us feel uplifted, while witnessing negative actions pulls us down.
So, it's not just about individual actions, it's about the collective impact on society as well.
Exactly. If our interactions are generally pulling us down, it can lead to spiritual harm, even for those who seem fine.
That's a thought-provoking idea. It makes you wonder about the effects of technology on our social connections.
Absolutely. If phone-based life is pulling us downward, it could degrade our societal well-being and mental health.
It's concerning to think about how that might affect our children and their development.
Spiritual practice. Have you ever thought about how spiritual practices can help with anxiety?
I've heard a bit about that. What does the research say?
Well, David Destino's book highlights that practices like meditation and prayer can improve well-being, even if they don't change specific outcomes.
That's interesting. So, it's more about the emotional benefits.
Exactly. These practices help reduce self-focus, which can lead to feeling less isolated and more connected to others.
I can see how that would be beneficial for adolescents dealing with anxiety.
Durkheim suggested that communal rituals create a sense of collective effervescence, bringing people together in a shared experience.
So, it's not just about individual practices, but also about community support?
Absolutely. Strong communities formed through these shared experiences lead to lower rates of anxiety and even suicide.
That's powerful. It seems like we need more of these communal practices in our lives today.
Definitely. Especially since many people today lack that sense of community due to digital interactions.
I never thought about it that way. It makes me want to explore more about these practices.
Research shows that living in networks instead of communities can hinder their ability to thrive.
That makes sense. When everything is accessible online, it feels like there's no structure to their lives.
Exactly. Without sacred times and spaces, like religious services or family gatherings, everything can feel profane and chaotic.
I see. And without those structures, adolescents become more vulnerable to radical movements that offer a sense of community.
Yes, when social life is virtual, it collapses into a blur, lacking the rhythms of a calendar or community.
That sounds really concerning. So, what can we do to help them reconnect with their communities?
Creating regular family rituals, like a digital Sabbath, could help restore some of that lost structure and meaning.
That sounds like a good idea. It's important for them to have meaningful in-person interactions.
Definitely. Establishing consistent holidays or community gatherings can help give adolescents a sense of belonging.
I hope more families consider these practices to support their kids in this digital age.
Research shows that the lack of physical movement and communal activities can worsen anxiety. We thrive on connection.
That makes sense. I read that synchronous movement, like dancing or group sports, can enhance feelings of trust and community.
Exactly. Destino notes that these activities help people feel more connected and reduce feelings of isolation.
It's fascinating how rituals, even simple ones like shared meals, can strengthen bonds and reduce conflict.
Right. When we eat together, it creates a sense of belonging. It's a tradition that spans cultures.
I remember during the pandemic, we missed those family dinners. It felt so isolating.
Yes, and studies show that teens involved in team sports report higher happiness levels compared to those who aren't.
That's a powerful statistic. It highlights the importance of physical presence and movement in our lives.
Absolutely. Engaging in community activities helps activate neural circuits that promote well-being.
It's clear that fostering these connections is crucial for our mental health, especially for young people.
I've been reading about how stillness can really help with anxiety, especially in adolescence.
That sounds intriguing. How does stillness play a role in managing anxiety?
Well, meditation traditions emphasize the importance of stillness and focus. It helps calm what they call the monkey mind.
I've heard about that. Is there any scientific backing for these practices?
Absolutely. Studies on Buddhist monks show that intense meditation can alter brain activity, reducing fear and negative emotions.
That's fascinating. So, practicing silence can lead to mental health benefits?
Yes, when people engage in silence with others, it promotes reflection and inner work, which is beneficial for mental health.
Are there specific practices that can help with this?
Even short sessions of mindfulness meditation, just 10 minutes a day, can reduce stress and negative emotions.
It's interesting how mindfulness has become part of medical practices now.
Exactly. There's growing evidence supporting its efficacy in various therapeutic settings.
And what about self-transcendence? How does that fit in?
Self-transcendence is central to spiritual experiences, often leading to a loss of self-consciousness and a greater sense of connection.
That makes sense. It sounds like focusing less on ourselves can enhance our experiences.
You know, recent research suggests that the default mode network, or DMN, is less active during spiritual practices like meditation and prayer.
Really? I didn't know that. How does that relate to anxiety in adolescence?
Well, when the DMN is quieter, people can connect more deeply to something beyond themselves, which can help reduce anxiety.
That makes sense. But what about social media? I've heard it can have a negative impact.
Exactly. Social media platforms are designed to keep the DMN active, focusing on self-presentation and comparison.
So, that could make anxiety worse for young people using these platforms?
Yes, especially during the sensitive period for cultural learning, which is roughly ages 9 to 15.
Are there any historical perspectives on this issue?
Indeed, ancient texts like the Tao Te Ching discuss how our egos can obstruct enlightenment, which is still relevant today.
Interesting. So, social media could be a modern embodiment of those ancient obstacles?
Absolutely. It promotes materialism and competition, which can be detrimental to mental health, especially for adolescents.
I read that the struggle between for and against is considered one of the mind's worst diseases.
Exactly. That insight comes from Singtiesen, a Zen master who emphasized that our immediate judgments can cloud our understanding of the truth.
So, it's not just about the anxiety itself, but also how we perceive and react to it that matters.
Yes, and many religious traditions, like the teachings in the Torah, encourage us to love our neighbors and avoid grudges, which can help improve mental health.
That's a powerful message. Forgiveness can really change how we relate to others, especially during tough times.
Indeed. Martin Luther King Jr. highlighted that without the capacity to forgive, we lose the power to love, which is crucial for mental well-being.
It's interesting how these teachings can be applied to modern issues like anxiety and social media pressure.
Have you ever thought about how nature can make us feel awe and wonder?
Absolutely. I remember reading that awe can actually change our beliefs and behaviors.
Right. Dr. Keltner mentioned that awe is triggered when we see something vast that we can't fully comprehend.
That makes sense. It's like when I see a huge mountain or a beautiful sunset. It really puts things into perspective.
Exactly. Emerson described walking in the woods as a moment where he felt connected to something greater than himself.
And it's fascinating how students in Haidt's class found beauty in familiar places after going on walks.
Yes. One student was so moved by cherry blossoms in Washington Square Park that she wanted to keep exploring.
That's incredible. It shows how we often overlook the beauty around us until we take a moment to really see it.
And studies show that experiencing awe can improve our mental health and well-being.
It's a reminder of the importance of connecting with nature and appreciating its beauty.
Definitely. Awe can be found in so many forms, and nature is one of the most accessible ways to experience it.
I can't wait to take my child out to explore and find our own moments of awe together.
In a 2023 review, researchers found that experiencing awe can shift neurophysiology and increase social connection.
That sounds promising. I heard about someone who felt more generous and present after a walk in the park.
Exactly. Ime described it as feeling secure and calm, almost like time slowed down for her.
That's incredible. I've noticed that children love exploring outdoors, too. It seems natural for them.
Right. E.O. Wilson even said humans are biophilic, meaning we have an urge to connect with nature.
So, spending time in beautiful settings could really reduce anxiety for adolescents?
Absolutely. But nowadays, kids spend less time outside, often glued to their phones instead.
That's a shame. It seems like they miss out on experiencing awe in real life.
Yes, and while phones can show beautiful images, they don't compare to the real thing.
I can see how being outdoors could create a deeper connection and sense of well-being.
The God-shaped hole. Have you ever thought about how there's a sort of emptiness in all of us?
Yeah, I've felt that, especially with everything going on today. It's overwhelming.
Exactly. Blaise Pascal referred to it as a God-shaped hole in every human heart, suggesting we all strive to fill it with something meaningful.
That makes sense. So, is this why adolescents might feel more anxious? They're searching for that meaning?
Absolutely. The pressure to find purpose can be intense, especially with the distractions of modern life.
And I suppose those distractions can fill that hole with negative influences?
Yes, studies show that exposure to negative content can lead to increased anxiety and depression in young people.
Wow, I didn't realize it was that impactful. So, what are some ways this can affect their development?
Well, when adolescents fill that hole with unhealthy influences, it can hinder their emotional and social development, leading to isolation.
That sounds serious. It's like they need guidance to find healthier ways to fill that emptiness?
Exactly. Engaging with positive experiences in communities can help foster resilience and connection.
It's fascinating how our thoughts and experiences shape who we are. It really highlights the importance of what we expose ourselves to.